Hello YouTube, I am Lightly Salted and welcome back to the channel, and welcome back to U-Boat and our looks at B127. Quick note before we jump in, this is apparently B27 Hotfix 4, in which they have addressed a infinite loading screen that some players of the game have run into. As you'll recall from the last episode, we had just sunk the Illustrious, and we are now trying to make our escape from the area in the hopes to circle around and pick up the convoy again. I'm going to adjust course here slightly, and we'll try something a little like that. Alright, we are currently moving at speed 3 as we are in the baffles of pretty much every warship I care about at the moment. Our air and electric are pretty good, however, given the size of the convoy and the amount of warships, I am going to try to get us some distance, surface the boat, recharge everything, and try again. We do still have to sink the Empire Lightning. As you can see here, this corvette is beginning to make its sweep. This destroyer appears to be turning in on the convoy itself. We are in the baffles of this corvette, so I do not anticipate any serious problems. Mr. Oldorp, I no longer need you on the depth steers as we are at 150 meters. Let's get you down for a quick nap. I'm going to have Mr. Osterman get his head down. And Skipper, you're fresh as a daisy. I'll have you jump onto the hydrophone for me quickly. Something I'm not sure we touched upon in earlier tutorials. All of your officers have the ability to work the hydrophone for you. However, they're nowhere near as good at the job as your radioman. You'll see that the Skipper's slowly expanding bubble here does not have the range of Mr. Osterman's. Also, you'll note I do not have the ability to give him any extra help, so I can't improve that solution in any way. Alright, at this distance I feel fairly confident in bringing us up. I'm going to go ahead and blow the tanks. I'm going to decrease speed and have Mr. Oldorp jump back on the depth keeping for me. Just in case we're in visual range, I don't want to be breaching the surface. Skipper, let's get you on the radio and we'll call in that kill. I'd like to have somebody work the electric compressor for me. Mr. Watcher is going to take that over for us. Alright, Skipper, can we see anything? Sure is dark out here. Mr. Hagnow, let's keep your head down. Skipper, before you get up there, why don't you go ahead and switch to red lighting for me, please? Alright, we'll go ahead and get the Skipper back on the UZO and see if we can still pick up our convoy. The distance looks pretty good. I'm not overly concerned about it at this point. We'll go ahead and increase speed. Mr. Oldorp would very much like to work the engine for us, so we'll give him that opportunity. Mr. Hagnow, let's bring our navigation back up, please. And we appear to be alone out here. Alright, we'll go ahead and increase the speed 4. All ahead full. Mr. Watcher is getting busy reloading our tubes. Good man. I think we're pretty good here to begin making another run at our convoy. We're going to get a little closer and then drop down to periscope depth. Mr. Hagnow, let's go to blue lighting, please. And Mr. Oldorp, let's get on those depth steers. Mr. Hagnow has decided to play cards with the crew. A little extra... I suppose a little extra morale won't hurt anybody. Now that's interesting. I had our chief bosun here on the navigation for a fair bit of time there, and we're still sitting at 94%. I would imagine that has much to do with the fact that our gyro compass is still off from our initial attack run. I'm wondering if I turn that back on, will it actually increase? Will it actually begin to increase again? Mr. Oldorp, I asked you to get on the depth steers. I would like you to stay there, please. Thank you. Okay, and as we can see, the navigation is beginning to increase already. So yes, it would appear that having the gyro compass turned off was slowing my ability to refill that 100%. This convoy's got a fair bit of speed to her. What I'm going to go ahead and do is drop down to 31 meters. I'm going to have Mr. Oldorp jump back on the engines for me. And we're going to increase up to speed 4 as not to lag too far behind. Mr. Osterman is still resting. I think he's fine with that for now. The skipper does not need to be on the periscope anymore. Skipper, get your head down, please. And that wonderful plinky plunky music has begun, letting us know that we are underwater. Okay, we're starting to get nice and snuggly. Let's go ahead and get some ears on. Mr. Osterman won't have a ton of range here as we are moving at speed 4. However, with any luck, he'll pick up the outside edge of the convoy. And yes, we have freighters. A few people in the community have asked about the automatic targeting systems. I realize that it's not actually intuitive. You would have to select your target like so. Down here at this icon, you can go ahead and click that, and we'll bring up any officers that may be able to gain information about your target. So we'll go ahead and select Mr. Osterman here, and that will dedicate his abilities to actually working the hydrophone for us. If I allow him to simply collect information on his own, he will collect small amounts of information about every target, not a specific target. Where this comes in handy is if you're sitting at periscope depth, and you have, say, your skipper on the attack periscope, your bosun on the observation scope, and your radioman doing his thing on the hydrophone, you could actually have all 3 of those officers, provided your scopes are up and you have sight on the target, working on one target and increase that that targeting solution to a much better speed. Okay, so this Corvette coming up on our rear, she does not appear to be outfitted with any kind of listening apparatus. We're going to go ahead and get a solution on this freighter, possibly this one. By that time, with any luck, we'll be ahead of the convoy, and we will start letting loose yet again. As we're sitting at speed 3, I'll go ahead and get Mr. Oldorp's head down for a quick nappy nap. So this is a good reason here why I tend to do most of my targeting manually using the map tools. I've been on this target for, well, not a fantastic amount of time, maybe 3 to 5 minutes in real time outside the game. We're at 12% of that solution at this point. I could have already had a bearing and a speed and so on and so forth. So while there are many situations where you could want to rely on your officers to get you that solution, just bear in mind it's going to take much, much longer than if you do it yourself. Mr. Hagnow has completed his work at the navigation station. We'll get him down. And actually, Mr. Oldorp, I'm going to have you jump back on the engines for me. I really want us to be moving a little faster. Okay, so that narrows our range. However, it shouldn't be too much of an issue given the proximity of the freighters. I'd love to take a poke at this tanker here. Watching them blow up in the last episode was fantastic. At the moment, I don't think that's where we're going to be at. It is 5:44 a.m. So it should be getting light out in the next, hour or so in game time. So that's definitely going to be something to be aware of when we come back up to PD. This convoy is really moving. We're going to have to give Mr. Oldorp a little extra help here on the engines. Try to get ahead of them a little and line up our shots. I'd like to be... In order to shoot both these targets, I'd like to be sitting, say, here right now in order to get those shots off. So, yeah. Mr. Watcher, better start working on those torps. We are down to 3 torpedoes? Mr. Watcher, are you performing all of your duties? Have I shot that many torpedoes already? Rear tube? I believe I shot both from the rear tube. Yes, I did. Yes, we are down to 3 torpedoes. Okay, only 3 torpedoes left. That's a little disappointing. It's going to make our job much more difficult. We still have no way of knowing which of these freighters is the Empire Lightning. I'm tempted to come up to periscope depth and see if the skipper can get any kind of line of sight. If your skipper has line of sight on the targets, you may be able to read the name on the side of the ship, and that'll give you a better indication of what you should be shooting at. We are moving at a pretty fair clip, however. We'll get a little closer, and then I'll reevaluate. Okay, we are coming up behind a destroyer. So that's fun. We're in our Baffles, so I'm not too concerned about our noise output at the moment. And that's something to make note of. Much like your own hydrophone, they have almost no ability to hear you when you're in their blind zone, being roughly a 45-degree angle from the rear of the ship. So staying behind your enemies is definitely the best way to go. This destroyer is outfitted with sonar but not radar, so I'm even more tempted to poke our nose up and see if we can't get some kind of sight on these targets. I'm going to go ahead and slow down to forward 2, and I'm going to have Mr. Outtro jump on the depth keeping for me. And I'm going to creep the boat up to periscope depth. Skipper, why don't we go ahead and switch to red lighting in case it's still dark out? And then I'll have you get on the attack periscope for me. Alright, Skipper, thank you for that. Let's go ahead and get on the attack periscope, please. And it is becoming a little more light, however, we appear to be sitting in a fog bank. This is probably going to be not of much use to us. That's a little disappointing. Okay, so Skipper's on the periscope. I have it set to collect information. And Mr. Osterman is still working away at that freighter. We're at 39% of a solution. It would very much appear to me that the targeting, the automatic targeting in this build, it seems a little slower than it was in 126. I might be wrong, but it does feel slower to me. If anybody knows for sure, or if anybody has the same idea about it that I do, go ahead and let me know down in the comments. Okay. The convoy is in this direction. However, again, sight is pretty much minimal. We are in the fogs. Okay, can we get anything? Alright, so we have a freighter in the distance. I can't make her out. I have no way of knowing what I'm looking at, unfortunately. So, Skipper, rather than tempt fate, let's go ahead and hide that periscope. And we will carry on. Mr. Osterman, let's keep working on that solution, please. Something of note, in 126, Alright, scenario. In 126, I go ahead and get a solution on Freighter A right here. Getting a solution on Freighter B would go that much faster. Because I guess it's... the idea is Mr. Osterman would have more experience in gaining information about the target. So that's the way it would work in 126. I'm interested to see if there's going to be a change here. Okay, Mr. Watcher, ordinarily I'd be really concerned about those torpedoes, but Mr. Osterman is still miles away from that solution. So we're going to go ahead and give you a little extra time for napping. It would certainly be helpful to not be in a fog bank about now. Well, you can't win them all. So, at this point, Mr. Hagnow has gleaned that that ship is making about 5 knots. He believes she is bearing 248.9 at a distance of 2 kilometers from our boat. That sounds pretty accurate. We are 2 kilometers away. We're almost exactly 2 kilometers away, to tell you the truth. I may slow down a little. Yeah, I think I'm going to just drop speed ever so slightly. We're doing 6 knots ourselves. So by dropping down to speed 2, it looks like we're going to hold 5. We should keep fairly abreast of this position, and this is where I want to be to take shots at these freighters. So Mr. Hagnow believes that this is similar to an Empire Explorer. It's a little worrisome. Explorers are notorious for not dying on the first shot. So I may need 2 for her. I'm going to have Mr. Osterman switch to this target for a bit. Something very important to know, if I was to suddenly lose sight on this target, like if I dropped my range, sent my radium into bed, so on and so forth, if I lost this this solution on it for a few seconds, I would lose all of the information I've gathered. All of it would disappear and you'd have to start over from scratch. So once you begin gathering information using your officers, make sure you stick with it. Mr. Osterman appears to be gathering information a little quicker. a little quicker. So yes, the second target does still calculate a little faster. So I mean, that's good to know. I would very much love for this freighter to be smaller, an NA-1 or equivalent. Something that's pretty much guaranteed to only need one torpedo. I'd feel good about firing 2 at one target and 1 at another and hoping for kills. I don't want to waste torpedoes trying to cripple these ships. I want to sink them. I'm worried about losing sight on that destroyer. I've lost her somehow. Okay, we've got 6:41 a.m. Is there any chance that the fog is abated? No. It is still thick as soup out. I'd love to be able to use the captain here to get a little more intel on these targets. Okay, so nearing 50%, Mr. Osterman believes that this one is an Empire Bell. Choose 1 to shoot 2 at, choose 1 to shoot 1 at, and hope for the best, realistically. We're going to have to increase speed. Alright, a little after 7, still in the fog, and the skipper decided to get on the attack periscope. Skipper, why don't you go ahead and stay in bed for me? You have so much to worry about in your day-to-day duties. I'll prefer if you keep your head down. Thank you. Skipper refuses to stay in bed, just wants to sit on that useless periscope. So, I mean, sure, I guess. This convoy appears to be picking up speed as it goes. I'm doing 7 knots, and apparently it is too. That's interesting. I'm not used to convoys changing speed. I'm wondering if that's something new. Okay, Mr. Osterman is 80% on target A there. We're going to switch him over to our initial target and see if we can get this to climb up a little. Now, he believes this target is doing 248.2, 248.9, so that's pretty good there. But he believes this one's doing 7 knots and this one's doing 5. We'll wait until our speed is roughly the same, and then I think we're just going to try it. Okay, the day is clearing up on us. I want to see the targets. I'm getting a little concerned about how long this is taking. For anybody out there that's used to using manual targeting in 126, this is much slower. Much slower, just so everybody's aware. Okay, Skipper, get yourself some help here. I would very much like to see something somewhere. That would be helpful. Okay, that appears to be our initial Empire and our secondary. So what we're going to do is we're going to select this one. We're going to apply the Skipper to it as well. With any luck, that ship will fall within our sight bubble here once it stops expanding. And he will add his expertise to Mr. Osterman's, and maybe we can speed this up a little. We are in danger of being spotted at this point. A little concerned about that, not going to lie. But it is what it is. Okay. Got a fair bit of chop in the water today. That is definitely not the Lightning. I can't make out the name completely, but she is not the Lightning. Alright, what do we got here? Can't make her out through the chop. The name is on the nose just below the waterline here. I just can't get my eyes on her. Okay, boys, let's get a solution here. Okay, it's climbing a little faster now that I've got the Skipper working with Mr. Osterman, so that's definitely a bonus. Okay, together they believe that ship is doing 6 knots, we're at roughly 75% there. I'm going to go ahead and switch our captain to Freighter B to continue gathering information about it, as we were at 80%, and we'll see if we can't get these torpedoes in the water, finally. Mr. Watcher, let's make sure I have torpedoes to fire, please. Thank you. This very much appears to me that these ships keep changing their speed. I'm not sure if I'm dealing with a bug here, but occasionally one will lag behind slightly. That's definitely new. Okay, we're creeping up within visual range of that destroyer, so we're going to actually slow down a little. Okay, so we've got 90% on Freighter B, and we've got 78% on Freighter A. The bearings are wildly different. So unfortunately, I've got to keep gathering information about them. There's no way they're on bearings that are that dissimilar, so... Well, just got to keep working at it, I suppose. Why don't we go ahead and up the ante? Let's get Mr. Hagnow onto the observation scope, and we'll get him adding a little to the equation as well. Alright, let's get the scope up. And we will add him to this solution. The skipper is still busy with Freighter B. Okay, we are down to half electric, so I'm starting to get a little worried at this point. 254 and 255. Okay, that's going to have to be close enough. Alright, so we're going to fire at our lagging freighter first, and I'm going to pump 2 into her. Hopefully Skipper has been keeping his eye on the prize here. And let him go. Now, freighter A. We'll go ahead and flood tube 3. And let her go. Okay, we're gonna stay topside for the moment being. I'd like to see the fruits of our labor. So, again, very choppy waters today. Might be a little difficult to watch these fireworks from here. We may have to move into orbital view. Mr. Hagnow, go ahead and put away your telescope, and we'll get you on the navigation station. Once again, we are down to 89%. I'll keep an eye on these torps, and I'll check back with you in a moment. 1. Okay, it looks like one of our 2 torpedoes was a miss. Let's go ahead and see if we manage to tag our primary targets. The Empire Lynx. Yes, thank you. I think we missed her. It is my belief that we missed the first target altogether. Thank you, Stefan Mayer. Alright, for those of you playing at home, it looks like our torpedo skimmed the nose on the way out. Well, that's disappointing. That is disappointing. Alright, it's unlikely that that one tag we got on our second freighter is going to do much to it. Unfortunately, we have to get gone. We're out of torps. Okay, so we are going to dive. I think I'll keep the speed up for now until these warships make the turn on us. Skipper, let's get that periscope down and get you to bed. Mr. Osterman, hold fast. Mr. Oldorp, let's get you to bed as well. Mr. Hagnow is working on that navigation. Fantastic. Real quick, though. Real quick, Mr. Hagnow, let's go ahead and switch back to blue lighting, as I'm not sure how long the warships are going to chase us, and we're going to kill the gyro compass to make ourselves nice and quiet. We are still at manual steering, so I'm not too concerned about noise levels from that. And with any luck, this destroyer won't completely turn around and mess up our day. Klaus, I'm sure I told you to do navigating. Maybe I didn't. If I didn't, let me know in the comments. Maybe I'm blaming him for nothing. Okay, it looks like our warships are giving us a complete pass. Now you look different. Oh. This freighter has a Corvette bearing on it. Wow. Getting pretty close there. Neat. Alright. Okay, our destroyer friend is turning on us. We're going to go ahead and try to get ourselves away from it. Mr. Watcher, can you jump on Mr. Oldorp's engines for me? I'd like to preserve what little battery I have left. Morale's dropping at a bit of a consistent rate there. Too much work from officers. I can understand that, boys and girls. However, I need you all working. I would say we'll be out of range of this convoy very quickly. It doesn't look like the warships were smart enough to follow us. Okay, we've gained extra travel mode, which tells me we are far enough away from the convoy that it's no longer an issue. We're about something to the tune of 20 kilometers away from it at this point. I'm going to reduce speed and bring us up to periscope depth. We'll take a quick look-see, make sure nothing's hiding just outside of our hydrophone bubble. And with that, we will get back to the surface and recharge our batteries. Alright, skipper up scope. And let's go ahead and bring it on up over these swells. Alright. Convoy's off in that direction. I think we're solid. Okay. Let's go ahead and service the boat. Let's go ahead and get the diesel compressor fired up. Mr. Watcher leapt onto the diesels for us. Good man, thank you. And let's get those batteries charged. Alright, morale is creeping up. How are we doing on food? Mr. Hagnow, how are the stores doing? Alright, fish and potatoes. Fantastic. That should probably last us until we get back to port, realistically. I'm willing to leave that as it is. Mr. Hagnow wants to play cards with the crew. 92% on the navigation. I mean, we could let him do that until we at least fill the bar there, so that's fine. Yeah, we'll go ahead and do that. Mr. Osterman, let's jump on the radio, please. And perhaps we'll play a little bit of a tune for the crew. How about that? Something a little less dour, I think. Alright. So we've got +7 from playing cards, +10 from playing music, +4 for 2 food types in the kitchen, and I'm getting a base of +4. I'm not 100% sure what that means. However, +4 is +4. I'm not going to complain. Okay, we have a fair bit of distance to eat up. I don't want to get too far away, given that we have no armament, really, other than the deck gun left. So, I think we're going to head in this direction to try to eat that up. And the crew is not loving the work from the officers. It's interesting. It says here, I've got a -4, too much work from officers, but a +4 from varied dishes. But I am still dropping. They don't seem to equal each other out. So, I mean, that's something to know. Mr. Hagnow, I insist that you go to bed. You are sleepy. Mr. Osterman, please, please stay in bed. Alright, we have completed our patrol. Mr. Osterman, let's go ahead and tell HQ so they can be all proud of us and stuff. And we are going to make sail for home. And we've completed our first mission on B127. Fantastic. Let's not dawdle. Let's go ahead and see the CO. Deeply impressed. Fantastic. Mr. Hagnow has gained points towards the Iron Cross second class. And our skipper has received the Iron Cross second class. Fantastic. He has also received the Iron Cross first class. I would imagine that has a fair bit to do with the manual targeting we went ahead and did. And the German Cross in Gold. I don't remember getting 3 medals at a time in 126, but hey, I will take them. Okay, 11 days, 8 hours at sea. We traveled 4,667 kilometers. We managed to put down 13,784 of tonnage. So, we sunk the Empire Light, the Oligarch, which was our oil tanker, and our Illustrious. Now, strange it doesn't give me a GRT for the Illustrious. I would have been very interested to know that. Okay, so we managed to find the Empire Lightning. We found its convoy. I couldn't find her. I couldn't find the ship itself in any case. We could not sink her. We did not make it to our wolf pack. Apparently there's still an hour remaining, even though that was a week ago, but hey, that's fine. We did our 2250, and we sunk a fair bit over our 7,000 tons. Fantastic. Next, please. Okay, a little bit of experience for all, 130 experience points. And that's where I'm going to go ahead and end the episode. As a personal note, I just a few days ago, I passed the 30-day mark of making videos on YouTube. it's been interesting. It's been something that I really didn't expect. Something I was doing in my free time, limited free time that I did have with my not super up to spec PC, and the feedback has been really something. My Discord is rapidly expanding. A lot of new usernames, a lot of new icons rather than faces. Please go ahead and check out the invite down below. Hit me up on Twitter. Let me know what's going on in your day. Let me know how you've been finding the build. If there was anything you saw on stream that requires a little more explanation for you, go ahead and let me know. Hit me up in the comments. I'd like us to continue on this journey of learning 127 together, so if there's something I need to pay a little more attention to, feel free to leave a comment down below. Alright folks, that's it. I've been Lightly Salted. Thanks for tuning in. Bye now.